Hi, Silicon Valley. Have you walked in downtown Mountain View and seen those food delivery robots?
Yes.
Or have you driven among Waymo cars that can drive themselves? So by a show of hands, how many of you have a Tesla? And how many of you tried its autopilot mode on public road? No hands, really. I'm surprised. Well, but I think you can see where I'm going. Night Rider is a real thing now. Isn't that great? So why do we care? What's the worry? Well, the first thing that comes to my mind is job security. And it's not just the Uber drivers, truck drivers, or deliveries. Even in the legal industry, legal tech is changing how we work. Documents review, template drafting, just to name a few. My name is Harvey Chen, and I'm a lawyer. Do you know there's an AI lawyer that's called Harvey now? Well, I'm just glad I still have my job. What about life safety? Even though in California, I have to admit, machines generally do drive better than human. But do you know how the decisions are made, whether to turn left, turn right, gas pedal, or stop? When an accident is about to happen, and the choice is between the driver and the pedestrian, how will AI choose? What if the pedestrian can cure cancer? Should that make any difference? And with all that, would you still be comfortable with putting your kid in the car and let AI drive her to school? I think you get the point. Even further, what about our liberty? Could our liberty be at stake? Yes. Terminator, Skynet. You know, there's a lot of movies and novels talking about this subject, and unfortunately, I don't remember any of them paints a bright future about AI. But is that science fiction only? No. We have military drones flying with weapons, carrying out missions over the world now. You must be thinking, hey, forget about legal trouble. I'll settle for, how about just not ending the world? But I am an optimistic guy. AI has proven to be capable of many, many things, even things that are creative. Generating artwork, songs, music. There's a lot of debate about who owns the intellectual property of the resulting work. But what about liability? If your AI goes out there and copies someone else's work without authorization, who's going to be responsible for that? What about willful infringement? Can there be willful infringement if AI is wrongdoer? What about cheating? Do you all remember the VW diesel cheating scandal? A rule-based algorithm was installed in the car so that the ECU can detect emission tests and enter basically a cheating mode in order to pass the test. Let me ask you how difficult it would be for AI to figure out a quote-unquote heuristics like that. So the list goes on and on, and I think you can see how AI can get itself into legal trouble. So will AI need a lawyer? Maybe AI should hire Harvey. Not me, the AI lawyer. Is the law even effective in controlling what AI can do? No. Actually, I think the law, in a traditional sense, at least, is not effective in controlling AI, and why is that? Well, because law is generally a rule-based product. Statutes, case law, they're all rules written by humans. But AI reached this new high in the past 10-something years, not because we have super rules or we have 10 times more rules, but because we figured out how to make AI work exactly not following the rules, right? That's why I think the 3 laws of robotics in iRobot, if you've seen the movie, wouldn't work because they're all rules, and rules are meant to be broken. But on the other hand, if you think about it, how do we usually train AI? How do we build machine learning models? It's a lot like how we train animals to do work. It's not like how we train dogs to herd sheep. We use it as an automation tool. Same goes with how we test our AI. We test it to see if it can do its job, right? If it's a medical analysis AI, we see if it can tell cancer. If it's a robotics AI, we test to see if it can run without falling over. But I think AI has become more than just a tool. If decisions are made and it's not apparent how the machines has got there, then I think responsibility must be taught. We should train AI to become adults, like how we train our students. Let's not just train them to become professionals. Let's train them to become ethical, responsible professionals. And I'm not talking about codes of ethics in AI programming. I'm talking about training AI on the ethics. Doctors, lawyers, CPAs, professional engineers, they all have ethic rules governing them. I remember I was once told by my law professor in my professional responsibility class, why do we need ethic codes? Why do we need ethic codes? It's because by the very definition of a professional, our clients don't know what we're doing. Sounds familiar, right? If you put that in AI's context, if we don't know what AI is doing exactly, then responsibility must be taught so that we can make sure the decision that AI make is a responsible, ethical one. And you might think, by the way, well, if we put machine learning models in just technical analysis, then there's no chance for AI to behave unethically, right? Because after all, unethical behavior like bribery, fraud, they're done by humans. But is that true? Coming back to the VW cheating scandal, if there's AI in the ECU that figured out how exactly the same way VW cheated, can we point to the AI and say, oh, it's just innocent overfitting and not cheating? I think the machine needs to know that some solutions are not solutions. They're not solutions because they're unethical, unacceptable, not a solution. Just like your solutions cannot achieve all the engineering goals, but sacrifice human health or violates the ethics. And by the way, this is not yet another sci-fi movie scenario where machines become sentient and we need to teach them moral standards before they roll. Moral standards are different from professional ethics. Moral standards are a set of beliefs, an internal compass that guides your everyday move. That can be different from person to person. Professional ethics, however, are a set of rules that separates acceptable behavior from unacceptable behavior in a professional context, like how a lawyer cannot bribe a judge, that would be unethical, or a CPA cannot cook a book. There are rules, fact patterns, public fact patterns for this. That is to say, there's a lot of data that is available for training. So I'm going to call this regulatory AI training. It is to train your AI on the ethics so that it knows the borders and boundaries of ethical behavior of your profession, of the profession that it is in. How do we get there? I have to admit, I don't know exactly, but how about we borrow the framework from our existing system? For example, for a lawyer, you have to jump through 4 hoops. First, you have to go to law school, and it requires you to take your professional responsibility class. Second, in addition to the bar exam, you have to take something that's called MPRE, Multi-State Professional Responsibility Exam, and pass. So that's the minimum requirement for you to get your bar license. Third, you have a continuing legal education requirement, which has a certain ethics component. And fourth, you have the check-ins. In California, every 3 years, you have to report to the California State Bar that you're in compliance with all the requirements. And last, you have a reporting mechanism and a governing body the California state bar that I mentioned has many arms. There's one that takes the test. There's one that receives application to the bar and reviews it. There's one that makes sure all the CLE requirements are met. And there's one that receives complaints, investigate, and prosecute to make sure all the codes are in compliance. And all the other, all the other professionals that I mentioned, CPAs, medical doctors, professional engineers, they all have similar framework. So 4 steps, right? First, mandatory training. It is to make, again, I'm talking about training AI on ethics so that it knows the borders and boundaries of ethical behavior. And like I said, there's a lot of public data for this training, right? And I don't think I'm talking about pub streams. I'm talking about using existing training method, state-of-the-art training method, but not just train the AI on telling a normal cell versus a cancer cell. I'm saying training the AI on an additional set of data so that it could know the difference between an ethical solution and an unethical solution. Second, what's the second? Licensing exams, right? So this is similar to having a quality control test before you put any product in the market. For any professional areas that AI is going to be deployed to, there should be ethics-related tests before deployment so that the machine can get a license. Because after all, if you're a parent and your kid's school has AI educational program, wouldn't you want to know that in addition to automatically selecting materials for your kid, that the AI and the software is fully trained on what abusive or bullying behavior is? A license can assure that. Like how human like how human teachers have licenses, so should AI teachers. And third and fourth, continuing education and verification. So, well, post deployment training is not new. In the medical analysis field, it's common to have to use test patterns to make sure that the model is still working. And there's a lot of research on this that usually involves a retraining on new data, retraining on new features, or combination thereof. And there needs to be 2 verifications. One, the functional verification that the model is still working, and another verification to make sure that the first verification is being conducted in a regular manner. And finally, we need a retiring mechanism for those models that couldn't work. And if you accept what I have so far, then the last piece of the puzzle is a governing body, right? That can be any organization that's currently issuing a license. Of course, that in itself needs some oversight, some accountability, some checks and balances. But at least with existing licenses, fees, and structures, we have a place to start. And I'm not advocating for a police state for AI application. I think academic freedom is important. It is only for those areas where you need a professional license and the space is client. Like for example, if you use ChatGPT to teach yourself how to cook spaghetti, I think you're fine. But if you use ChatGPT in clinical psychology, I think you need a license. It needs a license. So finally, I want to end with this. I know there's a lot of question mark and a lot of gray areas. And as the technology grows, I know there will be more question marks and more gray areas. But at the end of the day, the machine needs to know what garbage is. The machine needs to recognize solutions with ethical issues and kick those out. We reap what we sow, and AI needs to know that too, both from AI standpoint and human standpoint. AI has become more powerful than ever, and what comes with great power is great responsibility. Thank you, everyone.